Hello and welcome to Fletch and Sav, the best bits today, live from the Etihad ahead of Manchester City versus Leicester City.
Loads of the talk around here this morning was largely around one of the biggest names in football coming here, me.
After Manchester City announced the Guardiola deal, I think the whole of the red side of Manchester, there was a bit of a shudder in their systems, thinking, are we going to go further behind now? Because what a great manager. And I'd be astonished if they weren't sounding out one or two managers throughout the season, thinking about it, not in the early parts, but certainly in the last month or so, because looks like Louis van Gaal's a bit of a sitting duck. If they finish outside the top four, which I think they will, then I think there will be a change.
I think that you should let Louis van Gaal do the job to the end of the season. I really do. I don't think you need to sack him at this moment. I think you need to let him get on with things. They're not in a disastrous position at the moment. I know the season hasn't gone according to plan, but I don't think they should jump the gun. And you know what I feel.
They are essentially, Macca. I know what you say. I know you're very anti-sacking managers.
No, I know that, but I'm going to say that I just think they're panicking a little bit if they are. They've always held this thing that the far bigger Manchester United, they don't want the chaos that Jose brings, and they seem to be going down along the lines just because Pep's turns up. And
I think they're sacked him by now,
my feeling is that if they're going to change the manager, I've told you this, I think they should give it to Ryan Giggs. He's not a big name, but he's learning his trade and he deserves the chance. That's what Pep did at Barcelona. Everybody forgets Pep took the job, like Ryan Giggs took now.
Does he come for the first time here, Mourinho? Not necessarily the guaranteed sure thing that he's been in the past.
I think for the first time, Mo,
and not immune to being sacked, probably, as well.
There's certainly a question mark over him. And his next job, it'll be really interesting to see what job he chooses and how much finance he's got to go and spend. That's the big thing. If he takes over Man United, they've just spent $250 million. I know they brought money in, but United are cash rich, so he could take United and go out and spend £150 million tomorrow. It'd be interesting if he takes another job and spend, he's only got £20 million to spend. Yes. You'll see what kind of coach he really is.
Do you think he's going to be coming here driven by the fact that he's got the opportunity here to really put an exclamation mark on his career if he can have the kind of success at City that he had at Barcelona?
Yeah, certainly to win City's first European Cup would obviously be incredible, and just a bit as big a challenge is to make his brand of football work in English football. He knows full well that he's coming into a football culture that will be the most difficult for him. We're seeing at the moment. I mean, in terms of the style of play, I think the closest to it in the Premier League at the moment is Roberto Martinez with Everton. And we all know that how Everton are struggling. So we know that particular style of football, high risk, very attractive to watch, but as I say, defensively risky. If you don't get it right, then you do suffer. And so in terms of the style and in terms of the way his style contrasts with the style of English football, it's his biggest challenge yet. There's absolutely no question about that.
Because Sav back then didn't have a lot of clobber. He didn't have loads of stuff. He had loads of cars, but his wardrobe was, I thought back then, was poor. And then I remember watching MTV Cribs, and Sav goes into his walk-in wardrobe and there's all these shirts and hats and gloves and shoes. And I'm thinking to myself, I've never seen him wear any of that, ever. And I found out a good friend of his, Christopher Scotney's, owned a clothes shop, and I heard that he loaned it for that special moment. That is a fact.
We always speak, and when I heard that you'd been sacked, I was absolutely, I was shocked. I was shocked. But
I was, yes.
Completely shocked. You had no idea.
No, I think when you're involved in management, it's really going to be a case of when rather than if, in many ways. I mean, that's quite a cynical way of looking at it. But the reality of managing these days is that, there's a lot of scrutiny in terms of how people think that you do your job, and obviously the results. We're in a results business, and clearly that's going to take is going to be one of the most important things, results. But I didn't see it coming at that time.
What's changed from that team with the momentum, with winning games, staying up, to now? And I honestly, I do not know. So what do you think has changed?
Well, you've just used the word that I think is really key, and that is momentum. And the players and the new manager have been able to keep that going. And you know, you can talk about the tactical side and the technical issues with players. As a collective, as a group of players, they're very, very tight. Probably more ability than maybe a lot of people would credit them with.
It's not all about team spirit, is it? They've got
You
ability.
can, look, I mean,
That helps.
I'm not being funny. If you've got a team of just talented players and there's no spirit, you know, you can go so far on either one, on a good collective spirit and good technical ability. But when you've got the two married together, I think that goes without saying that's going to be, you've got a better chance of success. But you've still got to go out there and do it. And you know, credit to Leicester City this year. They've pushed on. They've taken advantage of some of the big teams not necessarily performing to the level that they did. But I think Glenn's right. You know, I don't think there's been a respect shown for the Leicester team because they keep doing it week in, week out.
I've always said if Leicester City win the Premier League this year, it is the greatest achievement ever. What do you two think? Would that be better than Forest in 1978?
Don't forget your roots, Nigel.
It's a different era. I
Nigel's a
think
Nottingham man.
It's very difficult
it's
to compare.
difficult to compare, but it's got to be up there for sure. If they win a European Cup on the back
Yeah,
of it as
come
well.
on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
There you
what do you
go.
think? Yes or no?
There you go.
No, I don't think so.
I don't
No!
No, because I tell you why, we spoke about it. Liverpool were it's like having Bayern Munich or
Yeah.
Barcelona in our league and then they won the league. That
Leicester City win the
Liverpool,
Premier League.
Liverpool,
Rob, you're not listening.
were the
Liverpool
dominant
Liverpool were a
side in Europe.
special team.
They
They
were.
won the European Cups and then they go, not Forest did what they did and then won the European
We're not
Cup.
talking about the European Cup, though.
Well, yeah, but
We're not talking about that. We're talking about one isolated thing.
They still finished above
1978.
Liverpool,
Forest
the
for me.
European champions
Forest
that
for me.
year. It's like Forest. It's like
Forest.
Leicester finishing above
So I
Barcelona.
disagree with all you.
How does it feel this week as a Manchester City supporter, knowing that when you kick off next season, Pep Guardiola's going to be in your dugout?
I don't think he can get any better for City. I think we've made massive progress in the Champions League. You know, I think we got the best draw we could have probably got in Dynamo Kiev. I think we can beat them over two legs, semi-final. You know, so I think the boys upstairs have had him in purposely for that Champions League. You know what I mean? I think he's, and I think hopefully, the league. You know, you've got Leicester, you got Arsenal, you've got City. It's all like nip and tuck. Sometimes when a new manager comes into the club, and I know Pellegrini's still at the helm at the minute, I'm hoping it's going to give the boys a bit of a boost. The prospect of working with such a good coach. You know, I have Man United mates. You know, mixed City mates and Man United mates, and they're all just gutted. You know, not only just at the football they seem to be playing, and it's doesn't exactly have them on the edge of the seat. They turn to say, and when they see us getting someone like Pep Guardiola and the players that he could attract next season as well. If you're a United fan, even my mates, I feel sorry for them.